Hey Keegan, did you hear that Sony are actually going to do a full press conference at the Paris Games Week this year?
No. How about you?
Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, world, and welcome back to Codename Morpheus, episode 5.
Cinco, if you speak
Cinco
Spanish. It's not Mayo. It's not May. It's actually
Cinco de
August?
Augusto.
Augusto. I don't know Spanish.
My name is Tom, and I am one half of the Level 2 Gamers, and joining me is the other half.
It'd be weird if I wasn't joining you.
Keegan Vi.
Yeah.
And you are chilling like a villain right now? Doing all right?
I want to, before we jump into the episode, because I don't know if you guys watched the first episode yesterday of the new indie. Please add details. But last 2 weeks we've not had podcasts, and I kind of want to explain why. If you haven't seen the video Tom posted a couple weeks ago, my grandma went to the hospital, had terminal illness. Long story short, she didn't make it. So I've been a little out of it the last couple weeks. Found out on the Sunday of Pixel Pop, actually, that she had passed away. So last week we didn't record because we were getting her for a funeral. And then I'd say about Saturday, I went back to normal. Well, as normal as life could be, doing laundry and cleaning my apartment, all that kind of stuff. So I'm back.
You are.
I feel like for the first time in a while, probably about 2.5 weeks, I am myself, because you had Chester before that, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, this is Kate. And my dad lost his job, but he's happy about that.
Been a rough couple weeks. We are back in the basement, and we're ready to bring you some virtual reality into your world.
I was hoping you could do another B word, back in the basement, to bring you a bona fide virtual reality bonanza.
There you go.
There you go.
That works. Bonanza. Cool. Good work.
What do we got in this bonanza, Tom?
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the new releases, obviously, and we'll start off because there is just one, but it is a significant one, and that is Paranormal Activity: The Lost Soul, or PAVR, as they are on Twitter, which is very close to PSVR.
Why is it
PAVR? Paranormal Activity VR.
Oh.
PAVR.
Because I was like, Paranormal Activity, Lost Soul. There's no R.
The Lost Soul thing they didn't really bring in, but the PAVR thing was confusing me on Twitter because I kept mistaking it as PSVR.
Because on a keyboard, A and S are right next to each other.
That's true. So Paranormal Activity, obviously based upon the movie series of the same name. I believe it is a separate tale to the movies. I don't know if they actually bring in any characters from the movies. I have bought it, haven't played it yet. I'm very excited to play it. Keegan is very excited to not play it. But it's a full price. It's a full price game. It's actually $30 right now with a PS Plus account, down from $40, which is the full price of the game. So I'm hoping it's going to be chunky. I'm hoping there's going to be
Chunky Monkey
enough to dig into. But it's a bit different to your Resident Evil and whatnots, because with Resident Evil, you know you're going to at some point get some form of weapon, although really there wasn't that much in the way of weapons in Resident Evil 7. But with Paranormal Activity, it's a lot of just running for your life, basically, just like Silent Hill style, where like you're lucky if you get a candle, you know, as opposed to anything to actually kill the devil demons with. But I remember watching the first Paranormal Activity in the movies.
I've not seen any of them. I've seen commercials and said
not
nope.
Surprising, yeah.
Yeah, I said nope.
There's a scene in the first one. This is spoilers, obviously, but me and my wife went to see it, and we weren't really expecting much. You know, we just we heard it was a bit like Blair Witch or whatever. And there's a scene in the first one where they put down this kind of like flower on the floor to try and prove that there's this entity that's sort of like watching them at nighttime. And then you're watching the nighttime camera on recorded playback, and you can see these footprints going through the flower. And at that point I was like, ooh, this is good, like this is creepy, I really like this. So I'm pumped to play this game. As you know, I'm a giant horror fan, and I'm pumped for you guys to see. I will record it as well. So you'll get first reactions of me playing it. So if I jump like a bitch, then that's me really jumping like a bitch. I won't pre-play it, I promise. Everything will be first.
First impressions.
So there you go.
First date.
So that's out, but that also doubles as part of one of our deals, because that is on sale.
Can I do an honorable mention?
Go for it.
For a release, since we haven't done a podcast last couple weeks, obviously we have not been able to talk about the new releases, and one I want to bring up is Neptune Flux. That game is kind of caught me off guard with how good it was, essentially. I didn't have much expectation for it. It's as much as you like scary stuff, I like exploration stuff, and to me that was perfect with... We talked about it a little bit yesterday. If you go watch the Indie Please Add Details, I'm still getting used to saying that, by the way. That was our first episode of that. We talked about it yesterday, but I was blown away with kind of the story that was around it, and kind of it's like just go out and go. And I highly recommend picking up that game. $20, I think, is what it was.
Something like that,
I believe.
Yeah. No, actually, it's like 8 or 9, isn't it? Isn't it super cheap?
No,
pretty sure it's super cheap.
We can check.
Yeah, double check. Know. I'm pretty sure they put it out for like a joke of a price, actually, considering how good and quality that game is. Like, yeah, I mean, we got the key from the developer a little bit early, so we managed to get up like a review and a nice bit of footage for you guys before that came out. We were happy with that.
$7.99 on Steam, so I'm guessing it's the same.
I said it's like $8. It's not expensive at all.
Okay,
really
worth $20.
Really good game by Zoxide, and worth looking at for $8.
If you like puzzle and exploration, that's essentially what it is.
Or the sea.
It's not a very long game if you're good at puzzles. If you're not good at puzzles, it'll be a long game.
I'm shit at puzzles, and so it's going to take me a while. But I will say that just the fact that you're in this kind of underwater submersible and the way the story unfolds,
and they do movement right,
it really feels pretty good. There's a little tiny bit of motion sickness you might get. Basically, if you get sick in Eve, you'll get sick in this.
The only issue I had was I was going through a canyon and I must have hit my head on something because the thing went dong and like it jolted me like that.
Oh, right.
And I was like, whoa.
Mine was more like the close-up spins and stuff.
Yeah.
If I was like spinning down into something, I'd be like, whoa, that's like it'll throw me off a little bit. But
you can control it.
You are in essentially a 3D space.
Yeah.
So it does remind me of.
And it is non-VR as well, but obviously
VR. Do it VR. Do it
if you have the option. I'm assuming if you're watching the show, you probably have VR.
Yeah.
Do it VR. I would say try to not VR just to see the difference, but it is way more immersive in VR.
Yeah.
So that's my honorable mention. I think that came out last week.
The week before, but we did some coverage for that, so we felt like we should bring that up as well. So Paranormal Activity, the long one, big one, everyone's been waiting for. Bit of the spoopers.
You've been waiting for.
I've been waiting for.
I could care less about it.
Which was a happy surprise the other week. And then let's talk about these deals because, like I said, Paranormal Activity is on sale. It was originally 40 down to 30. So now we have another game which is 40 down to 30, which is going to be my game spotlight this week as well, which is the rather impressive Archangel.
Archangel, if you don't know how to read.
Yes, Archangel, if you don't know how to read. but Archangel is the giant mech game where it's all on rails, but it is so well done, and I'll get into that in the spotlight later, but I will say that right now I paid 40 for it and I did not feel cheated in any way, so 30 is a really good price.
I assume that's a PS Plus price because it's a PS Plus sale going on.
Yes,
so I'm guessing that's part of that sale. Same thing with the next one.
Merville's though is not a PS Plus. Merville's is on sale too, and that's
I feel like Merville's just got a permanent price cut and without being on sale. It's just
maybe
like, here,
it always says
$14.
it's percentage, but but Merville's, as we know,
it's been on sale for like a month now.
Yeah,
unless I took it off and put it back on.
That's one of your favorites.
Yeah, that reminds me of Mario. If you're a Mario 64 fan and you want Mario 64 essentially in 3D, I don't say it's as good as Mario 64 because Mario 64 is a classic game.
Gameplay-wise, not quite there, but still
the
enjoyable.
Experience is if you like that game, I think you'll like Merville's.
Yeah. And that's Merville's A VR Adventure is the full name of it. I don't know why.
That's a virtual reality adventure.
That's $14 down from 20, so not a massive drop, but at the same time, $14 for a VR game.
I mean, that's over 20%.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, so. if you take percentage wise,
there you go. So.
I said it's over 20%, so if it's 30%, my answer is still correct.
That's correct. Get that fly off my monitor.
There's a fly in here that's been flying around
all over my stuff.
If I jump towards the screen, it's because I tried to kill a fly. I feel like an opportunity.
Don't break my computer.
I've got an opportunity, but I don't want to.
Definitely kill that fly. If you remember when we were killing mosquitoes the other week? This basement is full of fucking things. Anyway, so let's get into the news because that's what everyone's here for. So very, very recently, and as we announced at the intro there, Sony have announced that they are going to run a full-length press conference at the Paris Games Week. That's on October 30th.
Don't believe they did that last year because they have E3 and they have PSX. So last year, I believe they...
A little bit surprising.
I think they were there, but I don't think they did a conference.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because obviously we have all kind of been... we keep saying like, oh, we're waiting for PSX for them to announce this, that, or the other.
PSX is late December, though.
Yes, exactly. So my thought is, are they doing this because they have something to say? And
I don't know,
like
do Fallout
have something
VR?
to say, is it Fallout VR and is it Move 2s? Because with... adding on to the lovely PSVR Frank's sort of discovery of Fallout VR in a GameStop book, there was actually someone found the official printed digital copy of that GameStop catalog recently, and you can flick through it for yourself and see Fallout VR in there with your own eyeballs. So shout out to Frank Gay, or however he says his name. Awesome dude. And hopefully, I'm thinking that the reason why they're doing this press conference is to open up. I mean, I assume there's other things there. They're not just going to do it for VR, but if it's a full-length press conference, they can't really ignore VR, and I think they have things to say. And more importantly, I think they have things to say before the holidays, which is why I think...
I'm interested to see if they pull... I mean, the non-VR question is Last of Us 2. Will that show up here versus PSX, or is that something, since it's so far out, they won't do it here and do it at PSX because that's the PlayStation audience? Like, that's...
Well, that's why they announced it was PSX, so I think they'd probably keep it there,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Paris Games Week is not really... It's not a big one. It's not like Gamescom or anything, or you know,
or GDC
or E3. It's one of those minor ones, which is why it surprises me that they're bothering to do a conference. It must mean they have something to say that they don't necessarily want to do at PSX. So
it's interesting they don't do their own thing, because that's what Microsoft tends to do. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, come to Redmond.
I mean, maybe they're just trying to make it more exciting. I don't know. But, I mean, it's good news for VR owners. Hopefully, it's good news.
Yeah.
Because
don't know.
the more that Sony wants to say things, the better for us, because we want fucking Fallout VR announced properly in VR, please, and we want those Move 2s that you've been kind of hinting at for a long time.
If Move 2s come out, or whatever the hell they call them, and Skyrim comes out, that would be fantastic, because that would get rid of the teleportation for Skyrim and be able to use. Because
well, you don't have to do teleportation.
No,
Skyrim.
but if you're doing moves, you have to.
I would much rather do it with moves and non-teleportation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd rather play with moves, because this.
And I'd be happier about the Doom situation as well, if that was the case.
Yeah.
But
we've discussed that before. I don't care. I'm not going to play Doom, though, because I don't like Doom.
So that's good. That's great news. October 30th, look for PlayStation conference to come out.
Do you think they're going to announce something
Paris.
for Halloween? The next day's Halloween. Like, you get a spooky VR game.
Quite possibly.
Halloween release. What day of the week is that?
Evil
That's
8.
a weekend, I'm guessing.
So following on from that, we have something that just dropped this morning from Eve Valkyrie, and that is Eve Warzone, which is going to be kind of the DLC.
Ironically,
drop.
Halloween is a Tuesday, which is release day, so maybe they will drop something.
We should do something fun for that. Since it's a Tuesday. We'll be recording.
Yeah,
so anyway, Eve Warzone, or I guess just Warzone, announced for Eve Valkyrie, which is a new thing they've been working on, and I'll give you the spiel. Eve Valkyrie Warzone introduces next-gen ships for a new generation of pilots. All players will now be able to fly, fight, and die together cross-platform on PC and PS4, with or without a VR headset. New weapons, ultra abilities, and a modular
got it, I think.
system. Bye, Fly. Modular progression system give you more control over how you evolve your fleet. New maps and new games mode extraction give you exciting new ways to play. Welcome to the Warzone, coming 26th of September.
I'm assuming this is free, because they didn't say anything about paid.
Has not said anything about paying. It looks like, though, that... I mean, I don't know, like... Because Eve wasn't in VR originally, right? But Eve Valkyrie has always been in VR?
Yeah.
So
Eve the game was not VR, but Eve Valkyrie
weird
was
how they're like making it so you don't have to be in VR anymore. Is that like are they making a flat game, or are they just is it on PC? It's not VR. Like, what's the difference?
I don't know. But so when you first told me this news, because we talked about it beforehand, was my thought was player base, because that's always the issue with online games. Is this game is almost coming up on a year old.
It's doing all right though.
But how hard is it for people to find matches in their area? Because that's the thing with Werewolves. Like, if Werewolves Within didn't have the cross-platform, finding games would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I don't know what... Like, again, Eve is a good game, and I don't want to shit on it, but it's also getting to the point where people have moved on to whatever the next thing is.
They have been pretty consistently dropping content for it, though. It's not like they've been ignoring it since launch, like some other developers. They have been consistently doing DLC.
Well, it's because they realized their game wasn't worth $60 at launch. That's the one game I feel like was not worth $60 at launch.
Maybe not. But, I mean, it's nice that they're still doing stuff. And this is a piece of Eve Valkyrie news, by the way, that is 100% real. I realize I've made mistakes in the past.
Like that giant ship?
Yes. So the new bit of news after that we have for you is the ChinaJoy Expo. So ChinaJoy is a big expo that they do over in China. And at the ChinaJoy Expo, there was a range of 4 new PSVR games that are going to be confirmed for the West, or were confirmed for the West.
It was from a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago. I get that. We're just playing catch up a little bit, so I won't spend too much time on it. So the first game is called Stifled. Taking on the role of a character called David Ridley, you'll battle the eerie consequences of a tragic event that has darkened your world. And if you look at it, it just looks one of our standard VR horror type titles.
We need less horror games in VR and more happy games.
No, more. This is no ordinary horror game. The twist is that making noise is the only way you can see the environment around you. This immerses the player in Ridley's world and encourages tactical sound play using echolocation to reveal your surroundings.
So you're a dolphin.
Thanks to the headset's built-in mic, you can use your voice to help illuminate the way, as well as interact with items you find.
Plot twist, you're a dolphin.
That would be weird, though, wouldn't it? You should be walking through a haunted house. But it's a lot like that Perception game that just came out, that indie game that recently came out, like that in VR by the sounds of things. As you progress through the game, you'll discover the importance of strategic gameplay, as the sounds you make not only help you to navigate, but they also alert lurking enemies to your presence. It's an audio awakening in which enemies hear your fear. Sounds pretty good. I don't know how, like, creepy... Oh, you didn't get it?
Didn't get it. Thought I did.
Get off my fucking drink, you little fuck. Oh, I got it.
Yay!
There you go.
Did you actually get it this time?
I didn't hit it very hard, but I got it. Moving on. The next game is called The Walker. From Chinese developer Haymaker comes The Walker, a fantasy combat tale that plays out in virtual reality. It looks beautiful.
The Walker, I could think of as just an old person.
It's Zimmer Frame VR. Oh, I didn't get it, motherfucker. You are the distant descendant of an ancient Fangxiang family whose mystical mix of swordsmanship and sorcery hasn't diminished throughout the ages, which is just as well. The world needs saving from a demonic militia. Looks pretty cool.
For those of you listening, there's a fly flying around.
Yeah, that's why if you're listening and you're wondering what all this noise is about, this fly is
We're trying to hit it with our hats when it comes by. And
You'll need to uncover and master spells and charms to defeat these invaders and infuse weapons with special powers. Set in historic Shanghai, the unique sights and sounds will envelop you as you battle between sweeping boss showdowns. So
you opened Reddit.
I did open Reddit. God damn, this is a shit show today. This is what we get for taking a couple weeks off.
Hey, I had to.
It's your fault. Anyway, so next game up is one you will have heard of, or you should have done at this point. If you've been following my series of how to make PSN accounts for foreign things, you'll know that this is one of the free demos that came out on the China store and has been completely unavailable worldwide until apparently this announcement. And that is Kill X. Kill X was a move-controlled, again, horror sort of zombie game. So the blurb is, adding to China's burgeoning reputation as a PSVR hotbed comes Kill X from Vive Games. Claustrophobic thriller set on a secret island, you'll uncover horrifying experiments on human subjects by an organization determined to realize immortality, no matter the cost. As you veer between the past, present, and future of these experiments and their after effects, you'll battle through swarms of the island's unfortunate inhabitants. There are puzzles to be cracked and ever more powerful weaponry to be found as you dig deeper into this heart-stopping mystery. And it was one of the first ones to kind of do movement with the moves all right. Like, it wasn't too terrible. It was a bit weird, but it wasn't too bad. I seem to remember, like, a lot of it was like you had to, like, lunge to move and stuff. It was kind of bizarre.
People punching their TVs.
Let's just get those move twos out, guys. Let's stop making us do that. Lastly, Legion Commander, the third China-developed game we talked about in Shanghai, was this real-time strategy game from Changyu Games. Shanghai, Changyu. You select a commander and form an army, picking units with specialized attributes to steamroll the battlefield. You'll also use special cards to cast spells on the battlefield brought to life through PSVR. With three races, orcs, humans, and elves, pitched to fight against one another under the evil influencer of an ancient demon, you must fight the right blend of skills to defeat enemy armies and restore harmony to the world. So it sounds a bit like one of those sort of like Skylanders mixed with like a MOBA or something. So interesting for VR, definitely. So those are all come out of ChinaJoy, or came out of ChinaJoy news. And the other part of ChinaJoy that was interesting was they finally released a trailer for Ark Park.
What'd you think? Yeah, what'd you think?
That was right.
So it made me not want the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the price is, but
so for me, I played Ark, like the original, like the game Ark. That's still not out yet. I don't think.
Survival Evolved.
Yeah, I played that game and I loved it. And one of the things I loved about it was the fact that it was living with dinosaurs. It's Jurassic Park, essentially, is what it was. Like you could tame dinosaurs. You could have them collect materials, build a house. What I saw was this was like a shooter.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it's an experience, isn't it? It's not.
Doesn't make sense.
It's not like a VR version of Ark. It's a side project.
But I would love for like the Ark experience to be going to Jurassic Park. Like you could go in and build. I would love like a Jurassic Park Tycoon style game in VR, or where you can go in and build your park and then walk through it, or maybe they already have it pre-built and you walk through it and you can learn about them, or there's mini games as you're walking through it. Maybe that's part of the experience is you walk into the park, over here is a shooting game, over here is this thing, and it's part of the whole thing.
And at some point, the raptors get out.
Yes, and they kill you.
Yeah.
Which would be terrifying if a raptor was chasing you.
Yes.
I've yet to play, what was the...
They attack in pairs, don't you?
What was the dinosaur game that came out at launch? Robinson.
I've yet
to
to get past the first 20 minutes. I got really sick. I should be right now, though.
So.
And they just released that Dino Frontier as well. Which
yeah, but that's
not really a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a dinosaur game to an extent, but it's more just goofy.
Yeah. So I was kind of disappointed with what Ark Park is, because I had a different vision of what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And as somebody who loved Ark so much, what I loved about Ark, like I said, was being in the world of dinosaurs. And I feel like just shooting stuff is... It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I want to see more. I want to see how long it is. But that trailer did not sell me on it.
Yeah. Bad trailer, but potentially not a bad game. Depends until it launches. I mean, hyping it for a while now, so they better do a good job.
Just because you hype it doesn't mean it's going to be good.
True.
I mean, look at No Man's Sky.
A little bit of extra news in the world of aim controllers. We know you guys love the aim controller, and the news is that there is a game that's going to be coming out for PSVR called Honor and Duty, which I think
I like how you took a screenshot of my retweet of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just, that's how
you retweeted it.
That's how I deal. So Honor and Duty is, aside from being probably the worst ripoff of Medal of Honor and Call of Duty as far as names go, is going to be a VR sort of army game, I guess. And there is some footage of it that's available. It's by Strange Games, and they have said 100% that they are integrating the aim controller into the experience. And I, for one, I'm happy about that because the aim always makes everything better. And I really want a nice military shooter. I know Bravo Team looks interesting, but if that's teleporting, I want Farpoint military FPS multiplayer is what I want. Like Farpoint, not in space. Like make me Call of Duty.
You tired of space games too?
With the
Can we get rid of space and horror? Like, not get rid of
horror. Never get bored of horror.
Tone them down.
Never get bored.
We get too many of them.
Make a space horror, and then everyone will be happy. But no, I really like the idea of this game. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see more on it, obviously. But just nice to know that they are including the aim controller, because the more people that do that, the better. We are actually considering putting together a special video for you guys to show all the games that are currently supporting the aim controller, which would be along the lines of Farpoint and Dick Wild and Brookhaven, and there's a couple other ones too.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll wait till some of the bigger ones come out. But because it is a really useful piece of kit, and I only really use it for Farpoint and Dick Wild. So, but there you go.
This next one is interesting because this is the game that I wanted PSVR for.
Yes.
And I go to their website and I wait for an update and nothing.
This has been... It's kind
I've reached out to them at one point.
I don't want to say it's cursed, but it's one of those games that you feel like, yeah, by now we probably should have seen some gameplay or something. Yeah. And that game is, of course, Golem. Golem still shows up in the PSN store. I don't believe you can pre-order it anymore. I think they've taken that off there, but it does show up under the PSVR section for games in the library there. But Golem is officially still in the works. There is a musical prequel that is now available. So literally just music from Golem is available to listen to, which is great, but not as great as it would be if you would release the fucking game, please. That'd be really nice.
If they have an update, what the last update was. The behind the scenes from 2015.
Yeah.
There's the last, well, no, there's this one. IGN First. Yeah, so Echo's First Streamer is the last thing they put on their website here, which is what you're talking about.
Yep. Echo's the first streamer.
In order for Echoes to view your sports sophisticated.
You're live on air. You can read out loud.
I know, but it just wasn't interesting. I thought it was going to be interesting.
No, it's not that interesting.
Yeah, so the last thing before that is their IGN First, which is from way ago. When
literally the most interesting thing about this piece of news is just the fact that Golem is still a thing.
This is from March 2016 is what their last piece of news was from.
It's still a thing. They're making music for it. That's a good thing. It's probably going to be on its way. So now we've got the quickfire round. The quickfire round is essentially a quick lineup of things that will become available very shortly, hopefully, to PSVR. And through that, we have heard quite a few interesting tidbits over the last couple of weeks. I've tried to narrow it down some. I have excluded a lot of things, mostly just because of the hiatus that we were on. Otherwise, we'd have a really long episode today. So I just picked, I think, the best of the best. First one is Racket Fury, table tennis VR game that's just got an Oculus and Vive early access trailer. PSVR is reportedly on the cards for it, and I'm excited about this because the only table tennis we have table tennis VR game we have right now is kind of shit. So no offense to creators of that game.
Is it called kind of shit?
No, it just is kind of shit. I like table tennis. I think it's perfect for VR. The tracking has to be absolutely on point. I mean, if you have to make it like hollow ball accurate at very least. And so to have a really sort of decent table tennis game in VR is exciting. That's exactly the type of thing that does really well in VR.
Fit perfectly.
I don't really play table tennis a lot in real life, but I probably would give it a crack in VR.
Story time, because table tennis, and then we'll get on the next one.
Used to be a table tennis champion.
No, we did have. In America, we call it ping pong, because that sounds real racist when you say it out loud. Ping pong.
A little bit.
But we had, so my family owned a ping pong table when we lived in Canada, and we play all the time. But Grandma always had a ping pong table in her basement. And us cousins would play all the time, and you'd have tournaments, whatever it may be. And it was really weird going this last weekend there, because that ping pong table's basically my grandpa made it. It's just a giant piece of plywood that he taped and then did the lines and made the net.
That's cool.
And it's been there since I was born, probably 30 to 40 years old at this point. And I just found out this past week that it was sitting on a kitchen table. Like it wasn't. We thought it was a table by, like, my cousins too were like, we didn't realize there's a table under there. But we used to play that all the time, and we were joking that if we leaned on the table, it would have flipped over, but it didn't. So that's my ping pong story. I also one time got really mad at my sister, and she hit the ball at me, and I cracked it back at her and hit it right between the eyes. That was fun. She then threw a paddle at me, I believe.
My ping pong stories all involve Tijuana and bad decisions. So I'm going to carry on with the games this week. And next is Senran Kagura, Peach Beach Splash, announced for PS4. And it will have over 30 characters and PlayStation VR support. And I know you want to see this game. You know why I know that you want to see this game? Not you, them.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what it is.
Because when I uploaded that Dead or Alive Extreme 3 VR Paradise, you guys fucking loved it. And to me, it was the creepiest thing in the world ever to record.
I watched part of that and I was like, I kind of want to play it just to see what it's like.
I will allow you to play it.
I was like, this is disturbing to watch.
It is really, really uncomfortable.
Did you have to force yourself not to look at them, like, when you're recording? Like,
I tried a little bit. So, like, obviously, like, they're, like, right there in your face, like, you know, with all their body parts. And I'm just sat there just, like, going, okay, I need to showcase this game, but I also need to not be a perv. So I'm like looking, you know, this is the back of her, this is the front of her, she's not doing anything, she's just there.
I knew it was creepy when I saw the swing.
Yeah, the swing was super creepy. The bedroom is super, super creepy because you can actually make them do poses and stuff, and you were supposed to take pictures, which I didn't find out until later. But
like I was just staring at
the volleyball game was surprisingly decent. That I had fun with, but I played.
Well, that's the only Dead or Alive game I played.
In VR. It was. I played it with the headset on in cinema mode, but it was flat. When you see the recording back, and that's how it would be if you played it normally. But like the actual VR stuff is amazingly creepy. Unless you're really into that stuff. And that's why I say that, because you guys apparently really like that video, I'm assuming you will be into Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash, because the front cover is literally just a bunch of Japanese women in bikinis. So let me give you a little rundown on this game. The latest Senran Kagura, there's more than one, game is an action shooting game called Senran Kagura Peach Beach Splash for PlayStation 4. So the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu reveals it will launch on March 16th in Japan. In it, players will use a water gun and partake in exciting team battles. Weekly Famitsu has an outline of the game, as well as an interview with the producer Kenichiro Takaki, and information of the limited editions of first print bonuses, so you can check those out. I'll have a link below. But yeah, it's a third-person water gun tournament, and apparently it's going to be available in VR. But all the girls are in bikinis, so
the only Dead or Alive game I ever played was Extreme Beach Volleyball, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And my mom had no idea, because I rented it. I didn't own it. I rented it, and she came in one time up because where my Xbox was, I think this had to be California, because I think we were up in the loft. I'm pretty sure it was California. And she came upstairs, and she had no idea, because I was like, oh, I'm going to get a volleyball game. And she saw it, and she's like, what are you playing? And I was like, volleyball? I was like, okay. And kind of just walked away. Well, I used to watch, this is going to sound creepy when I say it, but I used to watch women's beach volleyball. Started for obvious reasons, but then I got into it, and I love Carrie Welsh and Misty May.
It's good to watch in the
really
Olympics.
Interesting.
I'll watch it in the Olympics.
Yeah. Like Carrie Welsh and Misty May, Misty May trainer now.
Yeah.
Were my jam, and now one of them retired, and I was like, I can't watch it anymore because those are the only two I know.
There you go.
Everybody else is garbage.
So yes, if you haven't seen Dead or Alive yet, please feel free to watch it. Although bear in mind it's super creepy, and then look forward to Peach Beach Splash, I guess. Moving on. Dimension Hunter gets an awesome looking trailer, confirmed AIM support, and this is a comic looking FPS game. It almost looks like if you were to play Sin City in first person. Really interesting looking game. The trailer will be behind me right now, but yeah, you can see it's kind of like it's got that comic book aesthetic to it, where everything's kind of a little bit you know, pixely or whatever it is. That I don't know what the official term for like that comic book style is, like other than comic book style, but it looks really cool. There is a lot of moments where there's like twin guns and things like that, which I would assume means that there's move involved with it as well.
Pixelated and cell shaded.
Don't break my computer, but the fly's on there. Well, that's one thing. So yeah, it's kind of this interesting art style. The AIM controller will be available. It just looks really cool, and the trailer looks really, really awesome. So you know, you'll see a little bit of it there. If it cuts off early, just go ahead and hit that description box below, and we'll have a full version there for you. Secondly, the really, really interesting game, which I'm super pumped about actually, and I've been begging the developers for a code for this game to see if we get one or not. Megaton Rainfall.
Megatron.
It's ton actually.
Oh,
it autocorrects.
Autocorrected.
Megaton Rainfall is there's no move support at launch, which has been confirmed, but Megaton Rainfall sees you as a superhero that basically has to save the world from a robot invasion. Robots look a little bit like those robots from what do you call it? War of the Worlds, that one with Tom Cruise in it.
You're asking the wrong person.
Probably. But they're kind of like, they're like tripod-y things where they have like a big, you know, circle thing and tripods coming down, and you have to basically use your superpowers to just fuck them up. Someone, when we posted the trailer to that, put the hilarious comment, welcome to Collateral Damage Simulator, which is exactly what it looks like. Just lots of cities exploding and you just like killing hundreds of innocent people for the sake of taking out one of these robots.
Here's to hoping it's not Superman 64.
Yes, it's not actually a 100% VR game. It is a normal playable game, but of course in VR everything is better. So I imagine actually getting to fly in VR would be quite something.
It'll be interesting to see how you take it. Your body takes it essentially. Like,
yeah, that's it, because they move really fast. Like if you see the trailer, the dude is like zipping around. So I mean, aside from the obvious like lackluster Spider-Man Homecoming experience, this is about as close as we're going to get to a full-on
I really want, as much as I don't want this to happen, I kind of want this to happen. Because you know in Superman 64 how he flies is he opens his arms up. Yeah. I want that to be the way you fly. Just like, I'm flying, guys.
Who knows? Who knows?
I would partially because I'd love to film you going like this. While we're playing.
But it looks interesting.
It does. It looks good.
It's kind of like it's a toss-up whether it's going to be a hot mess or awesome. Basically, it's just one of those things. Following that, we have a game that you've probably seen more of this than me. I don't think I've seen the trailer.
This one I've reached out to get a key because I was like, ooh.
Yeah, you really like the look of this one, and that is the cinematic 2D VR platformer, The Lost Bear, coming to PSVR this month, August 31st. So that's going to be.
So first thing, 2D.
Yep.
In VR.
Yep.
That was one of the things when I saw it, like when because I found it. I can't remember where I found it somewhere. And I clicked on it, looked further into it, and I was like, this sounds cool. The art style is what caught my attention, and then it's literally 2D pieces in VR of like set pieces and all that. So I'm interested to kind of see what the final game looks like.
Is there a Z field?
I mean, there's depth to it.
There is depth. Okay.
But it's I'm going to use the example of like being on a stage and watching a stage show.
Gotcha.
That's similar is kind of what I felt like, because it is flat pieces, so you can't. I don't know if you can walk around. I couldn't really tell, but there is a in and out Z space as you've come to know.
I know. I learned that. Do you like that?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'm really intrigued by this to kind of see what it becomes. I've watched the trailer and it's interesting looking. I just gameplay wise, I'm not quite sure 100% how it's going to
be one of those wait and see games. But so far, it looks great.
Yeah. The issue I have is it one of those games that needed to be in VR?
Yeah.
Not that that's an issue, but that's just a personal thing.
I think VR always makes something interesting or more interesting, but we'll see.
But is it worth it essentially? Because if it's just a 2D platforming game or 2D side-scrolling game,
is it in both or is it just VR?
I believe it's both. I'm not sure though. Not 100% on that.
Well, at least you have the option then that way. But yeah, I mean, this is something that's been heavily pushed by Sony right now. It was in their blog. They've been on r/PSVR doing AMAs on it. Really kind of intriguing looking game. Knock out a few quick ones here. Watchmen VR gets a first trailer, and no, it's not Watchmen as in the movie or the comic book Watchmen. This is I believe this is another game that originated from China, but it's an escape the room room game. Looks very similar to Static, and just kind of. Yeah, there's not much more to say about it, to be honest. It's graphically quite impressive from the trailer, but as we know, trailers can be deceptive. But it's kind of a unique looking thing. They just dropped the trailer for this a day or so ago, so we thought we'd include it. It's going to be one of those wait and see, but it's a puzzler. It looks like it has move control. Hard to tell. There's been no confirmation yet. And then following all of that up, the final sort of new game thing to look out for is Don't Knock Twice, which
only
is,
once.
Yeah, just the once.
You play shake it 3 times. You're playing with yourself, according to Good Charlotte.
It'd be funny if to start the game it's like you have to knock on the door twice. If you just did it once, it was like game over. Well done, you managed it.
It's like if Far Cry.
Yeah, like Far Cry.
You stay.
Just do what it says. So Don't Knock Twice is a horror game coming out the 5th of September. Looks brilliant. If you're a horror fan,
remember the 5th of September.
Not quite. It's November, but you're close.
I mean, no, it's the 5th of September.
I know, but the rhyme is November. So yeah, I mean, as far as I watched the trailer for this directly after watching the trailer for Paranormal Activity, and I was like, ooh, so many horror games. But again, it's like creepy old houses and candles, and just looks great. Just like a really good time.
I'm still going to say that there's too many space and too many horror games.
That's fine.
I feel like I'm going to keep adding genres to that category.
So now to a more positive story. This one happened a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to bring it up because that genuinely put a massive smile on my face. And that is Grandma's Star Trek Dreams Come True. You probably don't know anything about this one. So basically, I was following this guy on, and I'll post his name up in the description if I can find it again. But this guy posted on r/PSVR saying, my grandma.
Oh, the video's unavailable.
They've taken it down?
Yeah.
I'll have to find it. But basically, it said, my grandma really, really, really wants to play Star Trek with people because she's like the world's biggest Star Trek fan. I think it's that first one there actually that says thank you on it. Cool.
On May 29th, I asked a question.
Replace my video link with that one so I don't have to fuck it up later. But anyway, so this guy asked a question of the group and said, my grandma really loves Star Trek. She has everything, all the merchandise and the videos and all that kind of stuff. And
I started watching Star Trek for the first time ever. A couple days ago.
Didn't make it through the first episode.
I made it through about 40% of the first episode. I'm going to still try. It's just
it's a long ass series to get into.
The thing I'm running into is it's super cheesy, and I knew it was gonna be super cheesy.
Yeah.
But some of the aspects, I'm like, oh, do I want to stick with the original?
Start with the Next Generation.
That's what I was told. If I don't like the original one, to jump there. I want to start with the original.
I like the original one. I like the Next Generation a lot more. But anyway,
your link now,
Granny wants to play Star Trek, so this guy posted on r/PSVR and said, I need folks to help play Star Trek with my granny. She wants to be a commander. She wants to feel like she's doing it. And all these people were like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Let's go on and let's help Granny be a commander or a captain or whatever it is. And so they all got online and basically made this really special play session for her where she got to be the captain of the ship and sort of control things that were going on. And of course,
apparently the studios reached out to them as well.
Yeah, she was new to it. So for her, it was very kind of it started off sloppy, but the more she got into it, she actually started to get really good at the game.
You need to pick this game up. I would love to play with you.
Think about it. But yeah, it's a kind of a heartwarming story. It warms your cockles. And but
except for the ship being on fire here.
They did this special playthrough for this granny that wanted to be a captain in Star Trek, which to me just kind of goes to show the power of something like virtual reality. So someone that probably never thought in their lifetime they'd get to experience anything like that with their favorite TV show that they've been watching for years and years and years finally got to do it and absolutely loved it. She still plays it apparently, and really, really great story. So I want to thank I forget your name, I will post it, the guy from r/PSVR for sharing that story. I thought it was beautiful. To wrap up, I have two more difficult ones for you. These are things that maybe deserve discussion. So the first one is they are doing an update to the processors that are inside the PS Pro, which is going to be, I believe, some kind of a firmware update, but it's called Rapid Packed Math update.
I thought it said Rapid Packed Meth.
No,
speed it up.
That would definitely speed it up. No, Rapid Packed Math is essentially a way for the processor to completely overhaul itself and put out far more information or speed that it's capable of currently. And this is something that's interesting, because this is something that Sony had originally said, hey, the processors that we put inside this thing actually have a lot of things that haven't happened yet to them to make them even better than they already are. And tellingly, Xbox One X decided not to use these. So as of right now, as we know, Xbox One X is kind of the superior firepower console. This rapid packed math, a hard one to say, rapid packed math update to the internal processors on the PS4 Pro are supposed to, if not equal it, maybe topple it in terms of the actual outcome. So the exciting part about this is with this update, that means that potentially PSVR will be able to put out far more powerful games. It's sort of interesting how it's taken this long for this to happen, and suddenly there's a lot more rumors about Fallout 4 VR.
See, I take this with a grain of salt. Just because
you don't believe?
No, I want to believe, but as I am with a lot of things, I'll believe it when I see it type thing. Like,
okay.
It's this to me is
how you gonna know?
It sounds like what was the Sega thing? Super Blast Graphics or Blast Graphics or whatever they called it back in the day. So the Genesis apparently had Blast Graphics, which didn't mean shit.
Blast Graphics.
So I'll take it with a grain of salt. If it truly does exist, this is awesome. But again, I don't know. I just trying to think from my understanding of how hardware and software work together, how they were able to unlock this. Like you said, it was already there.
Let's get into it. So RX Vega's rapid packed math could narrow the power gap between PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. RX Vega's launch is now imminent. Next Monday, AMD's latest high-end series of graphics cards will be making its highly anticipated debut, starting at $399. Its launch and potential success could also have an indirect impact on the ongoing struggle between Sony's PlayStation 4 Pro and Microsoft's upcoming Xbox One X, due to the available in stores on November 7th. So let's see exactly why. RX Vega will introduce for the first time in desktop GPUs the rapid packed math feature. This allows 2 half float operations to be executed at the same time it would take for one full float operation. In the words of AMD, next-gen compute units provide supercharged pathways for double processing throughout when using 16-bit data types. In cases where a full 32 bits of precision is not necessary to obtain the desired results, they can pack twice as much data into each register, bear with me, and use it to execute 2 parallel operations. I love this stuff. This is ideal for a wide range of computationally intensive applications, including image and video processing, ray tracing, artificial intelligence, and game rendering. And there's some slides here that actually show off like what the difference is. But basically, ahead of the PS4 Pro launch, system architect Mark Kearney had revealed that the console would include a couple of features from AMD's future roadmap. One of these is what AMD is now calling the rapid packed math. At this time, Kearney said that it has the potential to radically increase performance. So basically, they're already in there. They just need to be kind of switched into the rapid pack math mode, which should considerably improve the chips in there, which makes me excited, because for a little while there we were getting a little bit worried about the poor old PS Pro in terms of not being able to run Destiny and things like that. So anything they can do that doesn't cost any of us any money, that suddenly makes the machine potentially twice as powerful, will be really exciting. So I thought I'd throw that out there, mostly for the VR viewpoint of it helping with that. But
there's still a grain of salt. I mean, again, how much of that is marketing speak, how much of that is reality? Because they can say it makes it twice as fast, but we know that, because we both are very close around technology, understand how technology works a lot of the time, is the labs and the real world are 2 different things.
Sure.
So you can say it's 2 times as fast, but can developers use it? How much of that is going to be used for overhead? Does that mean the operating system needs to have something done to it that'll then slow down the process? There's so many variables involved. I'm not arguing that it won't make it quicker.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's probably going to be one of those wait and see things.
Yeah, I just want to. Like I said, I need to see it before I'm a believer. I'm very skeptical of new technology until it blows my. Like, I was a fan of the first Kinect, because the first time I waved on my Xbox and was able to go through a menu was weird, because I felt like a Jedi. Like, Kinect never lived up to what it was supposed to do, but that technology is such a cool thing. PSVR, I was excited about it, but I was also had realistic expectations of what it potentially was going to be, and not be something this crazy mind-blowing experience. It is mind-blowing, but not to the fact of like not super crystal clear, all that kind of stuff yet. So I'm always excited about new technology, but I'm also always leery because you can make promises, but if those promises are not met, I'd rather keep my expectations low and be blown away than have high expectations and be let down.
Speaking of blowing minds, here's the last bit of news I have for this week, and that is that Neurable lets you control a virtual world with your mind.
Nope.
So it's basically a modified HTC Vive at this point, but it has these sensors, and I'll be damned if I can pronounce this, but I'm going to try. Electroencephalography sensors, along with the interior head strap, and they basically combine to make eye tracking technology. And this is a company which has recently been acquired from Apple, by the way. So right now, essentially, they can connect to the neural pathways of your brain and allow you to control a VR game entirely with your mind.
I don't like that.
Neurable is debuting Awakening, a VR game preview made in partnership with eStudio Fortune at SIGGRAPH 2017 in Los Angeles. Awakening is a futuristic story reminiscent of Stranger Things. You're a child held prisoner in a government science laboratory. You discover that experiments have endowed you with telekinetic powers. You must use those powers to escape your cell, defeat the robotic prison guards, and free yourself from the lab. The game allows you to manipulate objects and battle foes with your mind and is played entirely without handheld controllers. It's creepy, right?
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Again,
I don't like it.
I embrace new technology and I like new technology, but I'm not tinfoil hat type person.
There's a borderline, isn't there?
But I understand that companies that have that access to that information, what are they going to do with it?
Well, I think they're mostly at this point controlling it through your eyes, so I think that's okay. I think when it gets to like actually patching into your brain,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that's when it's a little bit too far.
That's when I'm like,
But it's exciting because this is like, I will probably never do this. I would be really, really sketch doing this. But at the same time, this is exactly what Sword Art Online was about. Like, this is actual, like, get into the virtual world and, like, stay there, potentially. So, yeah, it is terrifying, but at the same time, technology-wise, really, really impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look more into that. There is a little bit of information behind, but then, of course, the description below if you want to read the full article on Neurable and what they're doing with weird brainwavy VR. What I'm going to call it from now on. So with that being said, that's your news over, and we're moving on to the spotlight, which this week is on me, and I've decided that I want to do it on Archangel because stop doing that. Archangel is
made you think you're
I double checked.
Yeah.
Is one of the most profoundly like fuckers right on my microphone. Mind-blowing experiences that I've experienced in one go. In VR. It's one of those things that like you start it, you're not really sure what to expect, and as you get into it, you are instantly sunk.
Are you saying you had low expectations and then the expectations were blown away because they were lower than what the game was? Kind of like, I don't know, low expectations for rapid packed math.
Potentially, but I mean, my expectations were not necessarily low. They were just like, they were mediocre. I thought like, okay, this is an on-rail shooter where I get to be a mech. That sounds okay. $40 seems steep, but I saw all the reviews. Everyone said it was great, so I was like, I don't feel so bad about paying $40 for this if it's going to be a good experience. The experience, however, was really good, like really, really good. So I'll give you a brief overview of it. It's made by Skydance Interactive, which is an awesome name. You can choose a male or a female protagonist. In my playthrough here, I chose a male protagonist, which is unlike me. Usually I choose the girl. The immersion level is something else. So you start off the game on a train with your son, and your son is just kind of like messing around on the train and talking to you and everything, and it was a little weird for me because I played it standing up to begin with, and you know, you're sat down on the train, so I was like, this is weird. I feel like I was not at the right level. But aside from that, like once you get past that part, it starts to feel really, really in-depthly immersive. But
when you're in the mech, are you standing up or sitting down in the mech?
So I sat down eventually because I knew that I would want to do it in the mech. Yeah. So when I got into the mech, I sat down. But yeah, so like you know, it starts off pretty cutesy. The facial animations are wonderful. The kid does a great job of acting. Whoever that kid is, props to him. But you play like, you know, like a goofy game with the kid, and then basically after a couple minutes of doing that stuff, like when you're on the train, you end up in your sort of laboratory, or where your work is, and you work for some kind of government entity. So when you go in there, they introduce you to your mech. I don't think they have a special name for it. I could be wrong.
Mech.
Yeah, it's just Mr.
His
Mecha
name's
Man.
Mech.
And basically what you do is you...
Maybe it's Michelangelo.
You get up to try it out, right?
No. There we go. I was like, I knew I was going to get him in that one.
Took me a minute. You get up into the mech, and it's like, okay, let's try out the various aspects of this mech. So
Moved or DS4?
Huh?
Move or DS4?
Move.
Okay.
So here's what I really liked about it. So you have the moves down here, like kind of like twin sticky stuff, and then like as you move around, you see that like you're in the cockpit moving your hands, but the mech arms are moving in direct correlation with your hands.
So you're not controlling the arms, you're controlling the sticks, essentially.
You kind of, yeah. You are controlling the sticks, but in turn that is a direct one-to-one correlation with the arm.
Yeah.
So you can like do things like make a fist, and you can fire rockets, and you can do shields and stuff like that. So when you start, like when you're doing the practice mode, and you'll lay out there, and you're just kind of like, and you're moving your arms around, and you make little fists.
Are you dancing?
And start going.
I feel like you might have been dancing in VR.
Yeah, I may have. I may have done a little jig. But basically you have like a machine gun on the one arm, rockets on the other arm, and you have shields on both arms. And those are the only things you have to worry about. There's no, like, because it's on rails, you don't have to worry about movement or anything. But it's just kind of like shielding yourself from blows and then shooting, or like shooting, again, both sides. You can kind of cover most of your body if you put shields over both of it. But you
are they like energy-based shields? Like
they're time-based.
Okay, so you can't keep them up.
No, you can't keep them up forever. Yeah, so they are going to run out of juice eventually, and of course your guns will like overheat and stuff as well. But as you are kind of tromping through in your mech, you have like support from friendly helicopters and stuff like that. Bad thing happens. I won't ruin the story. Bad thing happens where you are, and then you're out in the city trying to take down several, like, basically an army, a militia of people, and then the story unfolds from there. People can hack into your unit. You can, like, the mech that you're in, you can go inside the brain of the mech, kind of, and you spend some time in there. It's just really well done story, really, really well done. And as far as like on rails goes, it is probably better than Until Dawn, and I say that not lightly because I love Until Dawn. But really,
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
Yeah.
Not Until Dawn.
Yeah, Rush of VR
yeah.
Until Dawn. But I say that because like I genuinely got so absorbed in that game, and I was playing it for like an hour until I realized how long I'd been playing it. And I want to get back in.
You look up and you go.
Yeah, I want to get back into it. I really do. I had a great time. It was not too hard. I could see it getting harder, but really fantastic game. So I have a few things that I wrote down about it that I wanted to talk about. The voice acting animation is flawless. It does actually feel when you're stomping around like you are in a 6 foot, six-story mech, because it is a 6-story mech. So you can sense of scale is incredible.
Are buildings the same height as you, or are you looking down on buildings?
You're like side by side with them. You're maybe 2/3 of the building height.
Gotcha.
The reason why you're killing everything is a very good reason, so you feel very obliged to murder everything in sight. And then one of the other sort of neat things that was in there was when you get health, one of your helicopter ladies like throws it at you, and you have to actually like grab it. And if you miss it, you miss the health. But so you have to they encourage you to like reach out.
Is it like a hose?
Your fingers. It's like a little, like a barrel that comes flying at you.
So because I was thinking like a helicopter that potentially. Have you ever seen a like plane refuel in the sky?
No.
So they have airplanes that refuel, like Air Force One. So they don't have to land. They have a hole on top that a second airplane can come in and dump fuel. So I was picturing that, like a hose comes down.
No, that'd be cool.
Strap it to yourself and fuel back up and go.
It is basically like the closest you're ever going to get to being in Pacific Rim, which I thought was a good point. If you like Pacific Rim, was a fun thing to mention. It is $40 right now. It's $30, but it's detailed and lengthy enough to absolutely be worth the money. I think it's somewhere between 4 or 5 hours an experience, but it is absolutely solidly balls to the walls experience the whole time. There is no downtime. It's thoroughly enjoyable. The mech is upgradable. There are many things you can do to improve your mechanism, and there are some weird kind of like hints at you being hacked from places and like glitchy moments in the world where you're kind of like, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, and there's definitely this unfolding story that you're not possibly there with. You can play it with the DS4, as you mentioned, but obviously moves are miles better. And I think it's really worth checking out. I had a blast with the game, and I highly recommend it to anyone. And if you want to play or try it out, feel free to use it on my account, because I think you would like it.
I haven't put on a VR headset in, well, I guess it's been probably 3 weeks now.
Neptune Flux.
Yeah, probably 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is sad to think.
Yeah. All right.
I had some other things going on.
Here is the question of the day. which is a fun one. Because this is what
I had to come up with this on the way here because I realized I hadn't put any down.
That's okay.
So while you were in between episodes upstairs doing what you were doing, I was writing my down.
This is kind of my idea for the question, and I wanted to do something that was fun. And I think that all of us, when we initially first tried PSVR, had much the same reaction. And we all played a different game to begin with. Most of us played probably the same one, but you know, we all have a different kind of story of a moment in VR where you were truly blown away. And Archangel reminded me of that because a lot of that was like partially why I decided to do this question. So the question is, what are your top 5 holy shit moments in VR so far? So do you want to do your entire 5 or do you want to do 1 and 1 or?
I don't care. What do you want to do?
Let's do 1 and 1, I think. Cool. It's the most fun. So I'm going to start with 5. Which feeds directly off what I just did, which is controlling the giant mech hands in Archangel. There is nothing quite like that moment when I noticed that what I was doing was going on with those mech hands, and I was like punching, because you can actually punch. Like that's an encouraged move in the game to like whack things. So I was like punching bridges down and just like shielding and shit, and it was such an amazingly fluid experience that I absolutely would say that it became very quickly one of my favorite moments in VR. It's just everything from the intro, but especially the first time you go to sort of training for the mech and you start seeing your arms move around. You're like, oh shit, like this is actually pretty fucking awesome. Yeah. So that was an incredible experience. It almost felt like it was real. Like I was like, oh my god, these are really my arms. I can go crazy. So that's my 5th one is controlling the giant mech hands for the first time in Archangel. What's your 5th one?
I'm gonna do number 1 because I went in 1 to 5 instead
That's
of 5
fine,
to 1.
Whatever.
Mine's actually, it's a twofer. One is, like most people, I started in PlayStation Worlds in that menu, which is a perfect introduction to VR, just in that room with the ball. And once you found out you could hit the ball, like, you just sit there and you play with that. And it literally felt like PlayStation or Sony going, here's VR, this thing's coming in, you're looking around, it's like,
yeah.
We're about to introduce you. The second thing, in that same game, you weren't there, David was there, but when I went to GameStop to play before PSVR came out, I played what's the shark one? Ocean Descent. I always want to call it Into the Deep.
That's what the original working title was.
Was it? So, maybe that's why. Yeah. So I played Ocean Descent in Best Buy, and it got to the point where I was lifting my legs up on the chair that we had during the demo because it felt like a shark was attacking me. And the more and more I play it, the more and more you're like, whatever. Like it's not. You can do that disconnect, but that moment, because it was the first time I had played PSVR and first time playing that versus like I've done Vive and I've done Oculus before then. But I remember sitting there and David told the story because these girls came up and they're like, what is he doing? And he's like, he's being attacked by a shark. And that's what made them play the game too. But sitting there and actually not without thinking, like raising my legs up, be like, this thing's coming at me. I need to curl up. And saying there's a lady after us that literally jumped backwards. I didn't do that, but it was more of, let me get out of the way of this thing that's attacking. So those would be the PSVR Worlds menu, and then leading into playing the demo of
that was a good
Ocean
one.
Descent,
I remember the first time that menu came in, and you see the lights come towards you, and then when you see it go around you, and you turn around, and you go, oh shit! I can turn around like that.
You know what's sad now is it drives me crazy just because it takes so long to load the game.
Yeah,
it's like All
right, next one for me.
Spoiled.
Actually is a part of the World's game, and that is the barroom scene in London Heist when you smoke a cigar and light the other guy's cigar.
You can blow the smoke?
Yes, that was fucking insane. So to begin with, the barroom scene was insane because when you're sat in that pub, everything about it feels realistic. Like, I'm coming from someone that used to sit in pubs a lot. You know, when you have all the people that are kind of, get out of here, fuck.
He's talking to the fly, not you guys.
Sorry, not you guys.
Those of you can't
have
see.
The guy that looks like the guy from Snatch that comes in and starts talking shit in his Cockney voice, and then the big guy comes in and everything. And then like you just have all those things on the table. They're like, oh, here's your identification card. You take that out, and then you see the cigar on the table. You see the lighter, and you wonder to yourself, can I? And then you do it, and then you start breathing in and out because that's just like a normal thing you would do. And then you see the smoke, inhale and exhale, and that moment you're like, oh my god, like how does it know? And of course
there's a microphone.
There's a microphone, which is why it does it. But it just feels so incredibly real. And then sitting across the table from this gangster guy and like lighting his cigar and everything was just such a beautiful moment for me. It was just like, okay, this is seriously the next like level of gaming. Like there is no question.
Facial animations that game is really good too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so much work put into it.
I didn't put it on here, but the interrogation scene when you're in the chair.
The interrogation scene was equally as scary, but the bar scene for me was just like, this feels like actual real life, and this is really scary.
I found myself, the first time I played, I think I looked around more than I paid attention to what was going on, just because you're like, what's over there? Type thing. So
plus you have like ADD, so you can't sit still. All right, what's yours?
My next one is playing Werewolves Within as a whole, because
in general,
one of the things, as you know, I'm a social gamer, and I felt like PSVR was very much a isolated thing. It was very much, let me go into this world by myself, let me do this thing by myself, and I was worried that I would not get into it as much because those experiences are fun. Like Job Simulator is a great, fantastic game. I love playing that and being dumb in it, but I play with friends. And playing Werewolves Within has probably been one of the coolest things that made me realize that PSVR is more than just a gimmick and more than just a certain type of game. It's here to stay with social online gaming and with single-player games, but Werewolves specifically was... You would make friends with people. It's the game that made me not be afraid to be in game chats anymore. Like, I now will, instead of being in private chat, certain games I'm still in private chat, like Elder Scrolls, because there's so many people around you, like, I'm just going to private chat if I'm playing with David. But being in game chat in Overwatch, or being in game chat in Werewolves, or being in game chat in different online games, I'm not as scared to do that now because of that game.
You out of your shell.
And it's I've made more friends, I think, from that game on my friend list than any other game, and we still play. Like, somebody will hit me up and be like, hey, you want to play Werewolves? Yeah. And it's these people I don't know what they look like in real life, but I feel like I know them because we've played Werewolves like 20 times together, and it's so much fun. And you learn, like friends, you learn the way people function, and because Werewolves is about deception if you're a wolf, as you all know. And it's really fun having that experience of the social aspect of just sitting, even when the game wasn't going on, just sitting around the fire, just joking with each other. Or having, like, when somebody would glitch out and just... The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ, like shit like that, is just so much fun.
That is one thing I think it's sorely lacking from VR, is some kind of just a plain social experience that does.
I want The Sims.
It's not a game. That is just like,
give me Sims.
You and your friends hanging out in a virtual house.
Well, they have the bar.
Yeah, but that's not quite the same thing.
Yeah,
it's close.
Give me Sims.
I want full-bodied avatars. Cool.
That'd be hard.
So, numero 3 for me is using the aim controller in Farpoint for the first time and dodging a face-jumping spider, which was something you did not manage to pull off right away, and immediately regretted the decision of playing that game. But like using the aim controller, which has been definitely at this point the best peripheral that's come out for the PSVR since it launched. Using the FPS controls alongside your usual ability in VR to like look around and everything,
and having the joystick,
and having the analog controllers, just took it to such a next level of experience, and actually being able to kind of like see the enemy, aim down the sights, and then if they're like coming for you, being able to like use the strafe on the analog to feel like you're actually dodging that attack, as opposed to just like when you're like Dick Wild or whatever, when you're static and you actually just have to bend your body around, but you could actually like move like in a real FPS to avoid the enemy, and it just gave you so much more power and so much more feeling over it. So the first time one of those fuckers jumped at my face and I did this kind of like, you know, jump to the side, and I saw it fly past me, and then I shot it in the back and turned back around to get the rest of them, was this kind of like, holy shit, like this is incredible. Like I've never had the experience of playing a game like this with this much power before.
So now you're playing with power.
Yeah,
Nintendo Power Glove.
There you go. So that was that should be moved 2.0 to Nintendo Power Glove.
No, please don't.
But that was a really sort of shocking moment for me, the ability to use the aim controller and actually use analog FPS in a VR game for the first time ever. There needs to be more. Let's get more on the cards. It doesn't have to be spacey, doesn't have to be crazy, just a nice military FPS shooter multiplayer. I want Call of Duty in VR, please, now. So yeah, that's number 3.
My number 3 is using the aim controller in Farpoint.
Yeah.
So we agree. I think it's the only one we actually agree on. And same reasons. It added to that immersion. Like, you made fun of me, but like I was marching because, one, it helped with motion sickness, but it made sense for me to move my legs because I felt like I was actually walking. That's you bring it up a lot of times, the magic carpet feeling where you're floating, but having that gun, it was weird because my first thought was it's a piece of plastic. How immersive? Again, I'm very skeptical of
It's
technology.
pretty heavy, though. It's
yeah,
pretty heavy.
But I'm very skeptical of technology until I see it work. And it's like, okay, like we have the moves. The moves are cool, but they're not my hands. I know these are controllers and they're clunky sometimes, especially when you have to push buttons. Like the aim control, I think they thought it out very well.
The ergonomics
to
are
work
incredible.
with VR.
Yeah.
And other than the aim being a bit funky, and I think again that's partially your basement with the lights going on, that probably didn't help the situation. But using the aim controller just added that much more immersion that made me go, oh, accessories for this can make a huge difference. And granted, I've played that one, and I played Special Delivery.
Oh yeah, you didn't play Dick, did you?
No, because I was not feeling good that day. I played Special Delivery. Special Delivery sucked, but I did like using the aim controller for it. And again, it adds that more immersion. I would love to see more games support it in a true sense, and I'd love to see more accessories that go along with it. So, granted, nobody wants to drop $60 on an accessory every 3 to 4 months, but if they make like an aim, or they make gloves, like you said,
like a golf game,
yeah,
like a golf accessory.
Like the Wii did it really well, where even if it's just like you plug your Move controller into something just to add to it.
Yeah.
Granted, the aim, I think the advantage of the aim is it was not a plug-in; it was a full set. But you could do that where you take the Move, you pop it into a club, and you swing. Yeah. And the game would register which way the thing has to go, and that would add so much more immersion to it that I'd love to see those kind of things happen more often.
Great.
So,
cool.
The next one.
Numero dos is, for me, the first time that I played Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and I hit a drop in the roller coaster. So
I was here for that.
You were here for that, yeah, because I started out with, the Ocean Descent, and that's for anyone that just starting out in VR, I recommend that as their first experience, because that just gets you used to the idea of a 3D space.
Do you remember Barry's? I can't remember Barry's sister's name.
Destiny.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Her reaction to it was great.
So, we did that. This is the first time that we had it, and Jordan was here and everything, and we had a good time. And so we did that, and then I was like, okay, let's get into the horror stuff, because I'm me.
I wasn't going to,
and you were not going to get on that roller coaster. So I got in there. Here's the thing: I love horror. I hate roller coasters. So it was this weird it's
a weird dichotomy.
I was like, I really want to shoot things in horror, but I'm not so confident about the roller coaster. But I thought to myself, it's a video game. How possibly bad can it feel? And then the first time you hit one of these huge drops,
well, it takes you so at the beginning, for those who haven't played at the beginning, it's you're just starting off shooting gallery, and then all of a sudden you go up this giant lift, and it's click 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 like a roller coaster. You get the top, and you can look down, and then
you drop,
and then here you go. Here's where
and then when you drop, your stomach takes it like a real roller coaster, because you're tricking your brain into thinking you are going at that speed down a roller coaster, so you can actually physically feel viscerally the drop in your stomach as you go down this roller coaster. And for me, that was the first moment, and I was like, holy shit, like this is so much more. I probably did. This is so much more than just a game, because like the immersion level of this now, where I'm actually like, not only am I worried about the obvious like beasties that are after me, but I'm having to worry about the fucking roller coaster, because I hate roller coasters, and I don't want to like be sick by going in this virtual roller coaster. So yeah, so that for me was a huge thing, mostly because it taught me that it was good enough to trick my brain.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty interesting thing to find out.
I've had a few of those.
Yeah. So that's number 2.
So talking about tricking your brain, number 4 for me, or 2, depending on which way you're counting, since we do things differently, Tom.
This is 2. We're going down to 2, but you just
number 5,
spelled it the
number
wrong
4.
way. Yeah.
No, you didn't tell me which way you're gonna. Your list goes from 1 to 5, so I went from 1 to 5. You just read in reverse order.
Yeah, because the first one is.
Yeah, but you should have gone 5 first, and then down to 1.
Oh, shush.
But anyways, using voice commands in Star Trek Bridge Crew. So 2 things about the game. 1, I used DualShock 4, and it sucked. Used Move, immersive, easy for me to say. But once they added voice commands, that when we play with AI, that's a game changer. The fact that I can be captain and I can go to my crew instead of having to click a menu, click a thing, set a destination, click a thing, set it, go, okay, go. I could say set target, or I'd pick a target, set destination towards target, get ready to warp, and then warp and go. Like that to me is cool. Or attack target, put shields up. Like it added to the immersion of the game for the sheer fact that like I felt like I was truly captain versus game. So the level of immersion was that much more when it came to doing it. And I really, really liked. They made it really easy where it's just a button on top of the controller. You hold it and you just say your command. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, like most games. But for my experience, it's fairly accurate. Sometimes I even prefer playing with AI over humans just because I can control them. Like control freak. But you know what's going to happen, like, because you're planning a thing, and if somebody fucks it up, you're like, well, that puts a wrench in that plan. So I really enjoyed having the voice commands, and I hope more games are going to incorporate it in a sense, in a way that makes sense.
I don't think I've done one that incorporates it yet.
Yeah, in a way that makes sense, I would love it. So like the Echo game you were talking about, the horror game,
the echolocation,
that's kind of cool. Yeah. Like that makes sense for it as long as it's accurate.
I would like to see a horror game where like you're if Alien Isolation, for example, made it into VR, there's a sort of a mechanic in the game where if you're in a locker hiding, you have to like hold down to hold your breath. Imagine if you actually had to hold your breath. Yeah.
So or Friday 13th.
That's a liability waiting to happen. But still, on my number one most wow moment in PSVR so far was the fight with Mia.
I was here for that too.
In Resident Evil 7.
Well, I wasn't here for your first one. I was here for when you recorded it.
So
obviously,
because not only is that game super creepy anyway, okay, like the demo is creepy, and I don't even think you meet Mia in the demo, but when you go to like the main first game and you find Mia's cell and you see her laying on the bed with her back to you, and then she kind of, you go and you wake her up and stuff, and then when she stood next to you, it's like head height with you, so it's like, this is a real person. Oh my god, this is weird, right? Because they're like that. It's almost like that London Heist thing where you're like, you are like a to scale person, and then you follow her around and some bad stuff happens, and then of course, for those of you, spoilers if you haven't played Resident Evil 7, Mia is a nasty bitch, and she comes after you several times. And
she chops hands off at the beginning.
Yeah, each of which is more terrifying than the last. But yeah, when she actually like turns on you for the first time and starts attacking you, and it's just like, holy shit! Like that knife dangling in your face is so scary. And then later on, there's like the thing where she just kind of like zoops up from the ground for no reason, like after she got knocked out, and then she comes at you with a chainsaw after screwdriving your hand to a wall. And like when I had my hand stuck to that wall and she comes out with a chainsaw, I don't think I've been so terrified in a video game before in my life. And even though that's like the first boss, and further down the line when you have to do like the mother who turns into a spider lady and that kind of stuff, like the first one though, and remember, this is the whole reason why you go into this house is to save Mia, and then you find out that she's like possessed by the devil or something. That whole fight, that whole kind of like work up to it, the fact that she like chases you up the stairs, all that stuff is so well done. And it's one of those moments where after it's actually done and she's like dead or dead, and you're kind of looking over her body, you're just like, holy shit, like that has to be one of the most intense things I've had to do in a long time. And for me, that was the first moment when I was like, if this is how good VR can get, then we are in for some awesome times. That's my number one.
My number 5, aka number 1,
also known as number 1,
is watching. I put watching parents play in VR, but watching other people play in VR and watching their reaction. Again, I'm a social gamer through and through. That's the way I always will be. And I feel like VR is, for the first time in a long time, you have people coming to your house to try something. Because gaming now is online. Social is online gaming, and that's the way it is. There's a few games like Overcooked, and me and David want to continue playing that. But when I did we had Sarah come over, and seeing her play the demo of Resident Evil 7 where she literally ripped the headset off because she was scared and jumped back, like that was insane to me. And that was a cool reaction to see. Like I expected her to be scared, but the actual visceral reaction she had to it was just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
My dad, when he did the Ocean Descent and he got attacked by a shark, or you, and we ended up losing the footage, but you played Ocean Descent and just you being like, holy shit, this is real. Like watching people put VR on for the first time is a cool experience, and then you slowly just build them up and show them different experiences. And we've always said, and you guys know if you own it, and if you don't, this is what we will tell you.
This is why we're here.
You cannot explain VR very well until you put the headset on and you understand it. You have an idea, but as soon as you get put into that world, it just blows your expectations away. Obviously, you can't. It's not going to be eye clarity. There's still things that are going to be there that you're going to notice, but the immersion into it, like Tom was saying, is crazy. And I love watching other people get into that and have that wow moment, because I feel like sometimes we're a little jaded now because we played it so much that it's like, yeah, I know what to expect. Like,
that was why I was so pleasantly surprised by Archangel, though, because it's one of those things where, like, it was kind of like, to me, I was just like, yeah, it's another game. I got to play some more games. You know, we have a show and stuff. And then when I played it, it kind of reminded me again of what I loved about VR. And that was kind of like, that was a nice, like, reminder of those kind of, whoa, experiences that you can get out of it, which is why I chose this question.
Well,
but,
like you, so we've said it before, and if you're new, hi, because there's quite a few of you.
Hi, my name's Tom.
When we first started out in VR, I was the one who's going to do the research behind it to make sure we could record it. So I played demos. I played Vive. I played Oculus.
You did the whole weekend.
I did that. Well, even before it came out, like I was doing research of how do we capture footage, the technical side of things for when it came out.
Turned out to be easy.
You wanted to go in, especially for PlayStation. I feel like if we got an Oculus or a Vive, it'd be trickier. But you wanted to go in completely blind, which I think was a good choice in the end to get your first reactions. Because I had seen these things, but people never saw my first reaction, like the shark. Like I kind of wish David had filmed that with me jumping, because I won't have that same reaction because I know it's going to happen. It's you have an expectation, so you're like, okay, this isn't as scary this time because I know what's going down. But just watching people that, again, for that first time, even like Amanda came over, Amanda and DJ, and watching Amanda come over, and there's, what is it, Illuminette, I think is the name of it, and watching her view that. It's just a movie, essentially. But her, like, walking around and, like, looking, and it's, you look dumb when you play VR. You don't look cool.
There's no way around that.
Yeah, you look dumb when you play VR. But it says something when you get completely lost in that world and watching people get completely lost. There are few times in video games when I'm playing on a TV that I get lost. Right now, it's currently Elder Scrolls and it's Overwatch. But even then, I still have a concept of time. I have a concept of all this kind of stuff. Because there's a separation.
Oh, it's 4 a.m. I should go to bed.
Yeah.
I have to record tomorrow.
You put that headset on, though. Like, I've played Star Trek one time starting at 7 o'clock. It'll be 3 or 4 a.m. And I'm like, oh, shit, we've been playing for 7 hours.
It's incredible, really, as well, how that tolerance builds up so fast as well, because if you remember, you couldn't really play VR for more than like 30, 45 minutes at a time without starting to feel a bit queasy at the beginning. But after you just play it more and more and more, like the first one for me was Resident Evil. I managed to make that in two playthroughs. I finished that entire game, 1 4-hour, 1 5-hour. And to be 4 or 5 hours, especially in a game that intense, is really an achievement for Sony. As far as the ergonomics of the headset and the comfortable and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I want everybody to experience VR, and we've said this. That's the reason we have this show, and it's the reason this show exists, is we are proponents of it. Again, we understand some of the shortcomings that are there. The big one right now being moves. Like if Sony does something with Move 2, if that becomes a thing, that would be so cool.
That's game over at that point. I think if Move 2's come out and they're good, that's game over. That's going to be the perfect VR headset for everybody. It's going to be the cheapest. It's going to have probably the most available as far as like AAA experiences with a company like Sony behind it. Because even though I love the Oculus and the Vive, a lot of the stuff on there is not AAA because it's made by indie developers. It's made by the same people that make games for Steam, and even
which isn't bad. It's just
no, not at all. And there still will be some wonderful experiences, but Sony has a lot more money, and they're not afraid to throw it behind something that they believe in. So we really hope that they continue believing in PSVR for as long as humanly possible, and I'm really excited for this Paris press conference to see if there's anything announced there. Again,
I'm going to have low expectations. I'm going to assume they're going to announce nothing, and then they're going to bomb drop, hopefully.
That's fine.
That's like Skyrim. I didn't expect that. I was like, oh shit.
It's a good attitude to have. So, that being said, this has been Codename Morpheus Episode 5. Sorry that it's been a little while between the last one and this one. As we mentioned in the beginning, we were a little bit tied up in various different things. We really hope you enjoyed the coverage that we did put out. In the meantime, we tried to put out a lot of VR stuff alongside all of our Pixel Pop stuff from the developer conference that we went to. Codename Morpheus is back every week. It will be here, and you'll be able to listen to it on any of the major podcasting applications, or you'll be able to watch it on YouTube. And I will say YouTube is usually the better experience. That's no knock on the listeners, because we love you guys, but with YouTube we actually have like gameplay footage and things behind us, or we have sources behind us for quotes that we got from places and that kind of stuff. So there's just a little bit more flair to it, even if it does drain your phone battery a little faster. So that's entirely up to you, but we would love to thank you for coming back to Codename after such a long break, and we hope to see you next week as well.
And if you want to join the conversation outside of the show, obviously if you're on YouTube, leave a comment down below. That's the easiest way. But if you're listening to us, head over to Twitter. Love2Gamers STL is a good place to hit us up.
Yeah.
Or you can head over to the YouTube video
at level2 Gamers STL for St. Louis, and then just tweet at us and say, hey, we like that thing about that thing that you did.
And if there's something, if there's a game or something you think we should cover, let us know. That's another thing that we're always looking for, because we try to scour the internet, but we do miss some things.
And we are at a point now where I am officially part-time at my job. I'm actually doing something with my wife that's going to gain us extra income, but the other reason why I went part-time was to dedicate more time to this channel. And I would love suggestions on things you want to see. We're looking at creating things like tutorial videos or best-ofs or tips and tricks or whatever. The first part of that sort of content that I created was the how to make a foreign PSN account, which there is a good playlist for on our channel you can find if you want to get some of those nice Japanese experiences or Hong Kong experiences. So that being said, if you want to see some more stuff like that, please let us know what you have in mind, and I can put that together for you relatively quickly. So with that being said, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and as always,
welcome to the second level.
Bye-bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.